On the morning of Thursday, July 20th, 1944, one of the most dangerous moments in Nazi Germany's history took place. World War II was moving toward its end. Allied armies were advancing from both west and east, and the German leadership was drowning in chaos and despair. In those dark circumstances, a group of German army officers decided to attempt to assassinate Adolf Hitler, hoping to end the war before Germany was completely destroyed. This attempt later became known as Operation Valkyrie. The Valkyrie plan didn't start in one day. It originally existed as an emergency plan created by the German army to deal with any internal uprisings or civil unrest in case the state collapsed. But a group of officers opposed to Hitler, led by General Friedrich Olbricht and Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg, decided to use this very plan as a cover for a military coup. Their goal was simple but daring: kill Hitler, then use Valkyrie to declare martial law, seize control of Berlin, arrest Nazi leaders, and form a provisional government to negotiate peace with the Allies. Klaus von Stauffenberg was one of the key figures in the plot. A brave officer who had served in North Africa, he suffered severe injuries that cost him one hand, most of the fingers on the other, and his right eye. Despite his condition, he insisted on carrying out the bombing himself. In the days leading up to the attempt, British-made explosives, Bristol type, were smuggled into Berlin. A small briefcase bomb with a 10-minute timer was prepared. On that morning, Stauffenberg traveled to Hitler's headquarters in Wolfschanze, Wolf's Lair, near Rastenburg in East Prussia, now Poland. The meeting was held at 12:30 p.m. inside a wooden barrack, not the usual concrete bunker, a small detail that changed history. As the meeting began, Stauffenberg placed the briefcase containing the bomb under the table near Hitler, pretending he needed to step outside to take an urgent phone call. Moments before leaving, he activated the fuse using a small metal detonator, then walked out calmly. At around 12:42 p.m., the bomb exploded, destroying the table and injuring several officers. But by sheer chance, Colonel Heinz Brandt had unknowingly moved the briefcase slightly behind a thick table leg, which absorbed most of the blast. Hitler survived, suffering only minor injuries to his right arm and burns to his hair. 4 men were killed and over 10 were wounded. Stauffenberg, having left just before the explosion, was convinced the attempt had succeeded. He immediately called Berlin, declaring that Hitler was dead, and ordered the execution of Operation Valkyrie. In Berlin, some officers loyal to the plot began seizing ministries, radio stations, and detaining Nazi officials. But soon, conflicting reports began to spread. Around 4 p.m., Hitler personally called Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda, confirming he was alive. Goebbels quickly informed the army and broadcast orders to suppress the coup. Within hours, the situation reversed. Hesitant officers withdrew their support, and troops switched back to Hitler's command. By nightfall, orders were issued to arrest everyone involved. Stauffenberg, Olbricht, and 2 others were captured at army headquarters in Berlin. Shortly after midnight, around 1 a.m., they were executed by firing squad in the courtyard of the Benler block. Before his death, Stauffenberg shouted his final words, "Long live our sacred Germany." In the days that followed, a massive wave of arrests began. Over 7,000 people were suspected of involvement. About 4,980 were executed or killed during interrogation. Even the families of the conspirators were punished. Hitler ordered that their titles and property be stripped away. Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, oversaw the investigations, using the infamous People's Court to issue swift and brutal sentences. Many executions were even filmed as warnings to other officers. Though Operation Valkyrie failed, it remains one of the boldest assassination attempts in modern history. It showed that even within the Nazi system, there were those who understood that continuing the war meant Germany's total destruction, and that blind loyalty to Hitler was no longer an honor, but a moral burden. After the war in 1945, these officers were officially recognized by West Germany as heroes who tried to end dictatorship from within. Today, a memorial stands at the Benler block in Berlin, displaying their portraits, and every July 20th, Germany holds a ceremony in their honor. Their story is taught in German schools as a lesson in moral responsibility against tyranny. Operation Valkyrie did not change the course of the war militarily, but it changed Germany's moral history. It proved that even in the darkest regimes, there are always those brave enough to say no, even if it means death. And perhaps the echo of Stauffenberg's voice that night still reminds future generations that courage is not only found in battle, but in standing up against what you know is wrong, even if you stand alone.